think everyone has to do high fat carnivore?
No, I don't. And I do see different, certainly there are some people that I would say are more likely to be have greater benefits on high fat carnivore. I think those would be people with any kind of central nervous system issue. So these would be things like multiple sclerosis, any kind of the mental health issues, depression, anxiety, bipolar, those types of things. I think females tend to do slightly better on higher fat than men as a general rule, but there are obviously a lot of exceptions to that. I mean, females just generally on a per kilogram basis tend to require more energy than a man does. At rest. Now activity levels and all those things can obviously change that.
So for you personally, do you do a high fat carnivore approach? And can you define what is high fat?
Well, I mean, classically, anything over 30% of your calories would be considered high fat. The average American diet is around 30% fat by calorie. And so the leanest carnivores are going to be more fat than that. Like when I'm eating a very low, what I would consider a lower fat carnivore diet, I'm probably still consuming in excess of 50% of my calories from fat. So, um, on average, I probably consume 60 to 70% of my calories come from fat, and that's like a ribeye steak. That's pretty, or entrecote, or you guys call it Scotch filet, I think. That is, I think a pretty good maintenance place. I think if you're going to be on a ketogenic style of carnivore diet, you're going to probably need more fat beyond that. And I think for me personally, when it comes to a weight loss thing, I'll eat a little bit leaner than that, but I won't eat low fat. I don't eat like what we would consider like a low fat diet would be like a diet where 15-20% of your calories come from fat. That's untenable for me. I would just be completely miserable with that style of diet approach. And I don't think anybody on a carnivore diet is on a truly low fat diet. There are people that are on more of a moderated fat diet and not a high fat diet. But yeah, so I think the normal range for most people at maintenance is probably somewhere between 60 and 80% of their calories coming from fat. So that looks like about a 1-to-1 or a 1-to-2 protein to fat ratio for the average person.
I think many people are going to say, what the heck does that mean? Let's talk about protein to fat ratios, how much protein that people need to eat. And then we spoke about the fat. Okay, first question. What does protein to fat ratio mean? And does somebody have to track that when they first start?
No, you don't have to. I mean, and particularly early on, depending on where you're coming from. And the nice thing about carnivores is like, hey, eat steak, eat meat, till you're full, repeat. And a lot of people end up losing weight. Now, some people, when they stall out or if they have other issues, might find some benefit in tracking some things. So protein as a macronutrient has what's considered roughly 4 calories. It's not exactly 4, but it's close enough. And then fat is considered to have 9 calories. So if you were to eat 1 gram of protein and 1 gram of fat, you would have 13 calories, 9 of which would come from the fat and 1 would come from the protein. If you do the math on that, that's like 60, I don't know, 63% or something like that. And then if you eat 2 grams of fat and 1 gram of protein, now if you do the math, you're at about 81% of your calories coming from fat. So foods that are 1-to-1, an egg is a pretty good 1-to-1. It's usually about 6 grams of fat and 6 grams of protein. A ribeye is, depending on how lean it is, if it's a prime, USDA prime, super well marbled, then you're probably looking at one of protein and 1.2 of fat, somewhere in that neighborhood. Like a T-bone steak might get you closer to 1-to-1 or slightly under 1-to-1. So there's different, and it's not hard to find. You just look it up, how much protein, how much fat's in there, and you can do the calculations yourself.
People also come for weight loss. So if somebody has that in mind and they say, Dr. Baker, I want to do carnivore because I want to lose some weight. What would you say to somebody if that's their main goal?
Um, there are a lot of ways to lose weight. You can lose weight on a whole bunch of diets, including carnivore. Not everybody loses weight on a carnivore diet, but many and most do. I think if that's your goal, then you have to really look at the root cause of why you're overweight in the first place. And it's probably you have some sort of maladaptive relationship with your nutrition, right? And that has to be your primary focus. And so when I tell people that, I said, look, you probably did not, become 50 kilos overweight or 100 pounds overweight because you were eating bacon and eggs and steak every day. You're probably eating a lot of processed food or whatever, maybe some sweets, something, most likely. And so you have to, figure out how you can get away with not eating that stuff anymore or minimizing that. And really, it's a food addiction issue in many cases of some sort or some kind of eating disorder. That requires, support, I think, is very important. I think having, support. We know, like, a few years ago, I surveyed 12,000 people on the carnivore diet and asked them about their level of support. And the people that had a supportive physician or supportive family, friends, coworkers were about 30% more likely to be successful. Right. So it's a pretty big impact. So getting that supportive environment is important. I think that, but I think the fundamental thing is you have to fix your relationship with that stuff. And, um, it's almost like for many alcoholics, I mean, it's not practical to tell an alcoholic just to cut back a little bit, just have a couple glasses of beer on the weekends and you'll be fine. And that doesn't work out too well for most people. So I think a lot of people, the abstinence can be very helpful with this. I mean, I think I often tell people, because, a lot of people are like, I'm going to go carnivore, I'm going to lose all this weight. And they're determined to lose weight right away. And so they start by, like I said, maybe eating too little. And then they have these awful cravings. And then they say carnivore is not right for me because I can't deal with it. So I tell people in the beginning, you just need to eat enough. And how much do you need to eat? You need to eat enough so you don't need a cupcake. You don't want a cupcake. You've eaten enough steaks, so you're like, I don't want that cupcake. That's where you need to be initially for a period of time. Now, that doesn't mean that's what you want to do for the rest of your life. But initially, until you can change that relationship to where you can be hungry. You can literally be hungry and there's chocolate cake in front of you or whatever you love. And you're like, I'm good. I don't need that. Because prior to me doing this, a decade ago, I was a guy that said, hey man, I think I'll eat dessert first because you don't know, maybe you won't survive dinner. You better have that dessert first. I love dessert. I still like dessert. I don't eat it, but I mean, I loved it. And so I think it's about changing that relationship with food more than anything, regardless of what the number on the scale says, whether it goes up or down initially. You've got to deal with this stuff, and figure out, and you got to have a plan. You can't just, cravings will happen and you've got to have a plan for those cravings, because I want to ask people, what's your plan for cravings? And they usually look, what do you mean? What's my plan? I said, well, if you don't have a plan, failure to plan is planning to fail. We've all heard that saying before. And so I talk to people about the physiology of cravings and how what plans you might have. I mean, I know that cravings are usually short-lived. They're usually 30, 45-minute sort of deals based on hormonal fluctuations. So if I can, distract myself for 45 minutes, go for a walk, engage in conversation, listen to music, watch a show, read a book, go exercise, whatever, go sit in a sauna. Then when I'm done, I'm like, okay, I'm good. Craving's gone. I beat it. And then it's like, just every day, you go to war. It's kind of like you go to war every day. Some days you win, some days you don't. You want to win more than you lose. And hopefully mostly you win. As you build in those habits, it gets easier and easier. But I mean, I think it's not realistic to tell people that there'll be no struggle ever and it's always easy. It's you hear about some people, they eat as much as they want and the weight just falls off of them. And then everybody's jealous about that because it didn't happen to them maybe. And some people are like, well, it didn't happen to me and I had to struggle. I will tell you, I'm almost 60 years old and I've been, fortunate to be generally pretty healthy, but I put in the time, put in the work, and some days I don't feel like it. I just do it anyway because I just know it's the right thing to do. And, I have to deal with occasional cravings and I usually, I'm pretty good about saying, okay, I got different strategies. And so, I mean, it's, life is a struggle. If it wasn't a struggle, it'd be pretty boring, because, if there's no pain, there's no joy, so you got to have these relatives ups and downs. If we were all blissfully happy at all times, we would all get bored. We would all be like, oh, this is boring. And we'd want we'd look for trouble, so I think you just have to realize that, it's there. You have to put some effort into it, but the rewards, the upside, I think, are far, far, far more exciting, particularly as we get older. Because I used to, when I used to do like knee replacements and hip replacements and stuff like that, I would see a lot of these people that were, 60 years old, getting ready to retire, or they might have just retired. And their entire existence was going from one doctor appointment to another doctor appointment to a test and it was on and on. And their little existence, like a third of their lifespan, was dedicated to going to the doctor's office. I'm like, that's not what you want. The last thing you want to do when you're not working is to hang out in the doctor's office. You want to be out there, enjoying the world, enjoying life. So just a little bit of effort. And, I exercise nearly every day, and I exercise quite intently, and I with quite a bit of intensity. But it's not that long. I mean, I just got done working out. I worked out for like 45 minutes. Done. That's not that much time.
To watch the full episode, just click here. And if you'd like to see more clips, make sure that you subscribe.